After what happened to them in the one-day series, losing 4-1 to India, this will come as a huge collective sigh of relief, or a Seifert of relief, if you want to put it like that, for New Zealand. A wonderful performance with the bat in the first 20 overs, in the first of 3 T20 internationals, just confirming exactly what's happened in those 20 overs after having lost the toss and been invited to bat first. There you see Tim Seifert, 84 of 43 deliveries, Munro and Williamson, and some good runs at the end as well from Scott Kugelheim. And you could see Hardik Pandya was a little expensive despite those couple of wickets. And in fact, if anything, it was the two Indian spinners who kept things in some sort of check, because New Zealand at one stage looked like they could have got even to 230 or 240. One thing we know for sure, if India are to win this, it's going to be a record for them, either in India or overseas.
How long did it take you to work out the Seifert of relief? How long did you plan it?
5 seconds
You're sitting in there and thinking, sigh of relief, Seifert, it looks like a good line. How should I put it out?
Bad puns don't take long to come up with.
I'll tell you what, 220, even if India do end up chasing it, at 220 the batting side is always favourites. Whatever the surface, 220 batting side is always a favourite. The side that has already put runs on. There was some reference in the commentary to the fact that the pitch might be quickening up. I don't know if I heard it right, because every time they dug the ball in and took the pace off, it seemed a better delivery. But 220, you always, until you talked about sigh of relief or the Seifert of relief, if India chase these 220 down, it will be a volcano of despair. Nothing to do with Seifert, just sigh and volcano.
Fair enough, but yeah, I mean, you have to look at the scoreboard pressure. But just quickly before I get you in, let's have a look at the progression of how things happened in this first 20 overs. And they were consistently going at 10.
I told you they didn't get a finishing kick.
66 without loss in those in that power play, and that was what set them on their way. And despite a little bit of relief from the spinners, and just to add to this, I've got a couple of figures. In the first 10 overs, spinners bowled 4 overs, 1 for 29, just over 7 in over, and pace bowlers went 6 overs, none for 68. And chiefly responsible there was Krunal Pandya. Good spell. He went 15 in his last.
Yeah, but when you have a start like that, first 6 overs is so crucial. When you have 66 for no loss, 66 for 3 wickets down also, it's understandable that, you can come back in the game strongly. But that platform was very strong. I think that really set it up for New Zealanders to go hard in the middle overs as well, because that anything over 10 runs in the middle overs also in this format is too good. Then it was always going to be difficult for bowlers to come back in the game. Having said that, I think in terms of these wide Yorker strategies, I'm not a very big fan of that. You got to be able to mix it up. You can't be just one dimensional, and that's something which we've seen today. The fast bowlers particularly looked little off color in terms of going about their business. There was width on offer, especially for Munro to start with. Khalil giving that width, which allows the batsman to free the arms up. When you're allowing batsmen to use those levers, it's always going to be tough. That's something which Munro's strength also lies in. He's predominantly someone who will be capitalizing on the short balls and the width on offer, and both were on offer today. So that's something, a lesson for the bowlers to go in the next game with. In terms of the last over strategies as well, I felt that those wide Yorkers, when it gets predictable, you've seen batsmen really going way outside off stump to start with. And then at that stage, if you just kind of confuse them, just mix it up. And especially on these tough days, when things are going for you, you don't have to really think about all these things. But particularly on flat tracks like today, when things are not going your way, you got to be proactive. And that's something which this bowling unit needs to learn on tough days. How quickly you can adapt, what kind of different strategies you can have. It pretty much looked like that one strategy was there, they backed it, they didn't really try their option 2 or plan B. That's something which needs to happen in going forward.
Let's relive those figures again. 95 in 8 overs between Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Khalil Ahmed, and 4 overs, 1 for 47 for Bhuvaneshwar are his worst T20 international figures. So something he'll want to look at. And as Zahir mentioned, there was a possible 6th bowler option there, not tried.
They could have tried him in overs sort of 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10, 11, up to 12 maybe. The moment they didn't use Vijay Shankar till overs 13-14, it was clear they're not going to use him. Also, it makes it clear he's playing as a batsman here. So I think the transition that Vijay Shankar has made from the last time he played T20 cricket, where he was expected to bowl 4 overs in the Nidahas Trophy, that they're now seeing him for what he is, which is a batsman who bowls a little bit. He's got number 4 today, so and he won't have time today. Not more than 1 over at most of a sighter.
Also, if you just have a look at the overall bowling, we heard the commentators talk about were India missing, the New Zealand commentators that is, were India missing an extra spinner. Now, in hindsight, I mean, it's a great thing to talk about hindsight. Could they have been looking at that, given the impact that you saw that Chahal had and Krunal Pandya had?
Well, if you look at the balance
or
of
is
the
that a
side,
luxury to have 3 spinners?
No, the balance of the side was just perfect. I think the combination which India has gone in with was fitting perfectly. It's something that New Zealand also joined the party now. That they have put pressure on the bowlers, and there are tough days which as bowling unit you have to deal with. It's always the case where everyone likes talking about the player who is not playing would have contributed more. That's not always the case. The game is played in the middle, and you have to come up with answers in those situations. I think the squad was just perfect. It's just that the Seifert and Munro provided that great platform which New Zealand batters can put pressure from.
Asha, there are times when we say, perhaps sometimes in jest, that for Dinesh Karthik, the shorter the game, the bigger the player he is. But in the field today, the tougher the catch, easier it became for him.
Actually, Ravi, who told me this, would have been 2006-07 or thereabouts. He said this boy will take the toughest catches and drop the easiest. And he dropped 2 easy catches and took the catch of the match. So, as it turned out, luckily the 2 drops didn't cost that much. But the catch he took was excellent. I just think a wicketkeeper standing at long on is all. I know Dinesh Karthik runs around, he's quite sharp, but a wicketkeeper standing in the deep is always tricky. They're not trained to have.
You've got to stand somewhere. There's 3 keepers in the side.
I know. What's keeping? So the other 2 could probably be inside the circle. I don't know. It's just that they don't have. They're not used to throwing the ball in from the deep, and the throw counts for 1 run. Well, maybe not on these surfaces. These are matchbox grounds.
But again, given this big total, one side you can say that, okay, it's a mountain to climb. On the other side, for certain individuals, look at it as an opportunity. We mentioned 3 keepers. For 2 out of 3, Rishabh Pant, Dinesh Karthik, huge for them to look at this and say, okay, that's more runs for us to play with, more runs for us to score.
Well, the wicket has looked good. Wasn't easy for bowlers to put up a good show for sure. So that's something which Indian batsmen will be looking at the moment. They'll say, okay, it's just above the par. Probably 180. We would have been talking right now that yet India has got a great chance of winning this match. Yes, they have gone above par because of the facts which we mentioned earlier with regard to bowling and the plans. You need Rohit Sharma to carry on. I think you need openers to provide that platform in these kind of scenarios. You'll possibly see Rishabh Pant also being promoted up the order. That's something which I strongly feel will be the case. But to stay in the game, that first power play needs to be utilized to the fullest. You would need 60 plus runs in those first 6 overs to put pressure on the New Zealand bowlers.
Have a look at this. This is just a theoretical order we've put up there, and obviously you look at both the Pandya brothers as possible floaters, and those 3 keepers. I mean, they could really be 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, but what Zach is absolutely right. If you set up a platform, Krunal can finish, Hardik can finish, Karthik can finish. So if you set up the platform, you've got the finishers, but you have to set up the platform. 60 in the first 6 is non-negotiable. 60 in the first 6. And then see from there. But 60 for 3 means it's very tough from there. So 60 for 1 is a basis to start the chase. But you can have as many batsmen as you want. 220 is a batting side favorite score.
Final thoughts, gentlemen. I mean, obviously it's going to be a record for India if they have to get this record overseas or in India. Mohali was their record chase in India. Bristol was the record chase in overseas conditions. You had Rohit Sharma getting 100 in Bristol. You had Yuvraj Singh playing a blinder in his backyard in Mohali. So you'll need somebody to play out of their skins. And as you said, it could be Rohit, but plenty more there.
It will be special. It will be special if they manage to win this game. The chances of India winning